Hello and welcome. You're watching Beyond World is One. My name is Mohammed Saleh, and let's start this broadcast by taking a quick look at what is making headlines at this hour. The American President Donald Trump orders the deployment of 2 nuclear submarines in an extraordinary intensification of what had been an online war of words with Russian officials over Ukraine and tariffs. The Israeli forces declared the defeat of the Hamas battalion in Beit Hanun after 3 of the group's operatives surrender to the IDF troops in northern Gaza. Hamas releases a new video showing the Israeli hostage Eyatar David, who turned 24 in captivity, was abducted during the Hamas attack that sparked the Gaza war, along with his friend Gal Gilboa Dalal.
Ебать! Снял?
An eyewitness shares a video showing an explosion near a Russian oil facility. Ukraine's military says that it struck the oil facilities inside Russia, including a major refinery, as well as a military airfield for drones and an electronics factory. The South African police have arrested about 1,000 undocumented migrants working in illegal gold mines in the northeastern part of the country.
Save our kids! Save our kids!
Anti-immigrant and anti-racist demonstrators face off in London in the latest in a series of protests outside the hotels housing asylum seekers, waving the Union Jack flags. Supporters of the far-right Britain First Party march and clash with the police in Manchester. Now, Donald Trump's latest tariff strike isn't just about global heavyweights like China or the European Union. This time, in the crosshairs are the world's most vulnerable economies as well. We're talking about war-zone nations, sanctioned nations, and aid-dependent nations that are still recovering from collapse. Now, take a look at this report.
So, if you look at that, China, first row.
Now, Trump's new tariff list is as stunning as it is vulnerable. Several nations whose economies are on the brink of collapse have been there on Trump's new tariff list. The tariffs between 10 to 41% have been slapped on countries like Syria, Myanmar, Iraq and Lesotho. The White House calls it reciprocal trade, but to many it's a trade wall that's simply too high for the world's weakest economies to climb. Now, Syria and Myanmar are already suffering under global sanctions and now face duties as high as 41%. For both countries, exports to the United States were a fragile economic lifeline, and now that has been severed. In Lesotho, the impact has been especially severe. The country faces a looming 50% tariff until last-minute negotiations slashed it to 15%. But it came too late, and according to the Wall Street Journal, factories have started shutting down. And exports are shrinking, infrastructure projects are on hold. And the Lesotho government has declared a state of disaster, redirecting funds to youth employment and small businesses in a last-ditch bid to soften the economic blow. With Lesotho reeling under pressure from Trump tariff, our correspondent Calden Ongmu sent us this report from Johannesburg on what lies ahead for the nation.
For months, South African officials have been trying hard to negotiate a trade deal with the US, but it seems like Washington has stuck to their guns. The decision is a huge blow for Pretoria, as the US is its second biggest trading partner. South Africa faces the highest tariff rate in sub-Saharan Africa, and economists warn that the country's agriculture and automotive sectors will be the hardest hit. Previously, South African Reserve Bank governor estimated that the US tariffs could potentially lead to around 100,000 job losses in a country where the unemployment rate is already 32.9%, one of the highest in the world. Trump's tariffs have already disrupted South Africa's car exports to the US. The Steel and Engineering Industries Federation of Southern Africa have also expressed concerns about losing market share to countries which have negotiated a lower US tariffs. Even though South African government said measures will be put in place to support exporters hit hard by the US decision, the question is, will that be enough to mitigate the overall losses? Only time will tell. This is Kalda Normal from Johannesburg, South Africa for WION World is One.
Now, the White House says that this move is about fairness and reciprocal treatment, but many of these fragile economies have no chance to negotiate, no transition time and no exemptions, despite their low income levels. Rights groups and economists are warning of a spiral of deeper poverty with job losses, halted development and a growing divide between the rich trade powers and struggling nations.
Iran is strengthening its skies. It has deployed Russian S-400s and Chinese HQ missiles. They are already working in Isfahan, and it's already facing the Israeli drones and engaging with them. We tell you more.
Iran has not just acquired weapons, it is moving towards a massive power shift. Iran's rearmament comes hard on the heels of a brutal conflict with Israel, which left much of its air defense grid in ruins. Its skies were dominated first by Israel and then by American bombers, something which Iran is now quietly changing. Iran, the pariah state of West Asia, now wields a lethal combination of Chinese precision and Russian protection that could shatter the regional balance of power. Reports confirm Tehran has received Chinese HQ-9B surface-to-air missile batteries. These are capable of intercepting aircraft, drones, cruise missiles, and ballistic threats at ranges up to 260 kilometers. China is the largest importer of Iranian oil. This comes despite US sanctions, using countries such as Malaysia as a transshipment hub to mask the crude's origin. Now China is not alone. Russia is also reportedly deepening its strategic ties. For the first time, Iranian forces have put the S-400 Triumph system through a full operational test, deploying its formidable radars and launchers across the Iranian heartland. The exercise was monitored by heightened radar emissions and increased military activity, unmistakable signatures of live S-400 drills. With a reach of up to 400 kilometers, the Russian S-400 system has the ability to track dozens of high-value aerial targets simultaneously. The S-400 dramatically raises the cost of any potential Israeli, American, or coalition airstrike. This double shield, combining Chinese and Russian technology, marks a seismic defense leap for Iran. The stakes could not be higher. The West's hopes of keeping Tehran contained now face a sophisticated, multi-layered missile grid. Iran's message is loud and clear. Those seeking to test its resolve or breach its skies could now pay dearly.
Now, Russia has unleashed its most advanced air-to-air missile, the RS-77M, just as NATO is reeling from news of the Oreshnik hypersonic system deployment. Now, this lethal upgrade lands in Ukraine's skies amidst a record-breaking drone offensive, making the air war deadlier than ever. Take a look.
Ukrainians are forced to endure an unending barrage of Russian aerial assaults. Russian drones and missiles continue to rain down death. Russia launched a record 6,443 drones and missiles in July alone. The total is the highest of the war to date. In the same month, Russia used over 5,100 glide bombs and nearly 260 missiles. Ukrainian President Zelensky visited the site of the latest attack in the Ukrainian capital, where over 30 people were killed in the deadly assault.
Ceasefire proposals were made long ago. Ukrainian proposals, US proposals, and many others around the world have communicated this to the Russians. Each time, the only response from there has been attempts to gain more time for war, more time for terror. Russia does not operate otherwise.
The skies over Ukraine are set to become deadlier, with Russia announcing the induction of a new missile. The R-77M missile represents a quantum leap in Russian air combat capability, a weapon so advanced it could render Western fighter jets obsolete overnight. Intelligence reports confirm Russian Su-35 fighters are now carrying the modified R-77M beyond visual range missile. Initially designed for the stealth Su-57 but now integrated across Russia's fighter fleet. The R-77M's active phased array antenna seeker creates a technological nightmare for Ukrainian pilots. Unlike conventional missiles that can be evaded through sharp maneuvers, this weapon features 360-degree coverage that eliminates blind spots entirely. The timing of this revelation couldn't be more ominous. Putin's recent Oreshnik hypersonic missile announcement demonstrated Russia's willingness to escalate technologically. NATO's air superiority doctrine, built on decades of technological advantage, now faces its most serious challenge since the Cold War. Ukrainian forces have responded with their own aerial innovations in yet another cross-border drone strikes targeting military installation in Penza. These retaliatory attacks demonstrate Ukraine's growing long-range capabilities but pale compared to Russia's technological and numerical advantages. Each side is accelerating, the strikes are getting bolder, the weaponry more sophisticated. Kyiv and Moscow are locked in a deadly duel, and the rest of Europe is bracing for fallout.
In one of the biggest crackdowns on illegal mine workers, South African police has arrested about 1,000 undocumented migrants. And these Zama Zama, or the illegal migrants, work in gold mines in the northeastern region of the country. The week-long sweep took place in clandestine mines in Mpumalanga province. A police spokesperson stated that there could be more arrests, highlighting the fact that there are still some illegal miners who are still underground. The Sheba mine, which is owned by the Barberton Mines, was one of the oldest gold mines in South Africa. Said the food and other materials are being supplied to a thriving illegal mining world underground, and hence this intervention with the police and mine security. This message is clear that illegal mining should not be tolerated. Now, the arrests have come less than a year after a similar operation was conducted near the town of Stilfontein. There, at least 90 clandestine miners ended up losing their lives before the mines were shut in January. The police surrounded the illegal mine to prevent the supply of food and other stuff from entering into the mines, forcing those inside to come to the surface. Now, estimates in police crackdowns over the years, 30,000 migrant miners operate in 6,000 abandoned shafts, producing almost about 10% of South Africa's gold. Even the trade is deadly in South Africa. The 2009 Harmony gold collapse killed 63 people. The 2023 Boksburg gas leak that claimed 17 and the 2024 Stilfontein siege left up to 100 people dead. Now, over the years, the authorities have stepped up Operation Vala Umgodi, forcing 1,500 miners to surface last year, with hundreds being arrested in Gauteng and Mpumalanga.
Across Turkey and Greece, flames are racing ahead of firefighters. Villages are being emptied, forests are disappearing, and the battle to contain it barely working. As parts of the Mediterranean face record-breaking temperatures, the region is now in the grip of a full-blown fire crisis. Here's what's unfolding on the ground.
Ash-filled skies, roaring helicopters slicing through smoke, the gushing sound of water drops, horizons painted in post-apocalyptic orange, and helpless people staring while their homes get incinerated. For many in Turkey and Greece, this is reality, a catastrophe unfolding before their eyes.
It was apocalyptic here. All the state officials were here. God bless the excavators, the bulldozers. We have 27 houses here, 27 villas. This is right in the middle of the forest. We're surrounded by forest. Because the excavators and others cleared these roads, our houses weren't damaged. Thank God. Only our forests burned.
Homes have been ravaged, entire neighborhoods wiped out, and forest grounds completely smothered into embers. What's worse is the devastation is far from over. Let's begin with Turkey. It's been battling raging wildfires for weeks. At least 19 villages have been emptied. Intense firefighting efforts are underway, but they're barely making a dent. Strong winds are fanning the flames, and across Turkey, temperatures are shattering records. Add to that an unprecedented heat wave, and you have the perfect concoction for a disaster spiraling out of control.
I think the ongoing wildfires are a result of these factors, climate change, and the heat has been getting worse every year compared to the year before. I think we're seeing temperatures of 50 or more degrees Celsius in Adana too.
The scenes look unreal. At least 3 Turkish provinces are engulfed in flames. Firefighters are locked in a grueling battle. In Bursa, one of the largest cities, 3 personnel lost their lives in a vehicle crash. Elsewhere in Eskişehir, a blaze killed 10 others. So the ones trying to banish this horror story are becoming its story. Karabuk in the Black Sea region is also under siege. A wildfire there raged for almost a week. More than a dozen villages had to be evacuated. In the southern Turkish provinces of Mersin and Antalya, more than 3,600 people have fled. Turkey's forestry ministry called it a very risky week. Yet this week seems like a permanent season. And amid this chaos, nearly 100 people face prosecution in connection to the fires. This isn't just a string of accidents. It's a national emergency, powered by heat waves, accelerated by human error, and made deadlier by a crisis that refuses to play by rules. And here's something worse. Turkey isn't alone. Across the Aegean Sea, Greece is seeing something similar. For over a week, the country has been in the grip of a heat wave. 65 firefighters, 20 vehicles, 7 helicopters and 6 planes were deployed to contain the blaze. At least 6 regions in Greece were charred. Kythera, Messenia, Laconia, Evia, Crete, and Kozani. Italy sent 2 firefighting planes to help Greece in its wildfire battle. The Greek fire department says multiple fires are still active. From the smoky skies over Greece to the charred hills of Turkey, the Mediterranean is in the grip of a relentless wildfire season. Flames have forced evacuations, destroyed homes, and stretched emergency services to their limit. Temperatures are showing no signs of dropping, and the region remains on edge.